Hello everyone, this is Mumbo here, welcome back, and today we are back on the Hermitcraft server. It is episode 76 and we are currently in fairly unfamiliar territory, at least for some of you. We are over at Corralis's Booby Mountain Resort. You can see there is Booby Mountain itself, and why on earth are we over here? Well, I have got one hell of a story to tell you. It has been just one of those days, I guess you could say. I have been over here constructing a statue for Corralis. Look, there it is. He is Corralis. He's got a crown on his head. He's got his thumb up, and he is standing on a bunch of netherrack. And that is because Corralis is officially the king of the nether. He is the scariest thing in the nether, and that makes him the king. And I thought it would be really fun to build a giant statue of him. I also thought it would be really fun to record that video, but unfortunately, that didn't go particularly well. Turns out, I forgot to turn up my microphone. It was on the lowest setting, just the lowest setting possible, and it means that the audio quality is absolutely atrocious. So unfortunately, that is not fit for upload. You will never see the building process of this giant statue. But anyway, it was a really fun project, and there is not a whole lot I can say about it, other than I do apologise that I haven't been able to get that on camera. But anyway, what are we going to be doing in today's episode? Well, we are going to be heading back over to the Mumbo Jumbo Jungle base. We are going to be carrying out a few projects over there, but also we are going to be helping Slipgator out with his new door. So the first thing that I've got to do in today's episode is hop into a redstone testing world, and we're going to come up with a few designs. So here we are. This is the place in which all builds come together, and speaking of builds, I just want to say a massive thank you for the amount of support that we got in the 20 doors in 100 seconds video. I know it was uploaded about a week ago now, but really the response to that one was absolutely incredible. There were tons of parody videos made, there were loads of likes, comments, favourites, shares, everything. Everything went down, and we actually hit 300,000 subscribers the day after, which really is incredible. So I just want to say a massive thank you to all the support that I have been receiving in these past few weeks, months, and years. But anyway, this is the door that I have come up with, and you may be thinking, what on earth? Well, Slipgator wants a 2x4 door, and when he said that, I thought he meant just a normal 2x4, but it turns out he wants it on a diagonal. So I've got to work on a few little things. We have put the redstone across the top, and then it runs down into these blocks. There is a piece of redstone dust on top of this block here that is powering all 4 of these pistons. So if we take a look, flick this lever, you can see that it opens up, we can walk through, and then when we flick the lever once again, it all closes. Now you may be thinking that opening is a little bit small, and I thought that as well, but it turns out that is what Slipgator wants, so that is what we are going to be giving him. So now what we have to do is hop back onto the Hermitcraft server, gather up some resources, and we'll get building. We are currently way at the very top of Slipgator's base, and I thought it would be a fun idea to see if we could get right to the very bottom, and that includes throwing an ender pearl through that gap there. So let's see if we can do it. Is that going to make it? Oh, we are so close to being on the ground floor there. I thought we might make it all the way to the bottom, and I have just used up all of my ender pearls. But as far as I remember, this is where he wants the door to be built. I think this is where the door is going to be going. So our sticky pistons are going to be going like this, up like that. The 4 sticky pistons, well, it's really hard to do with jump boost on. So 4 sticky pistons are going to be there, and then if we just place some blocks in, like temporary blocks on the faces of those, yeah, they will extend outwards and be out to here. So that is where it needs to be. These sticky pistons also need to be on this side. 1, 2, 3. I can't do it. But yeah, you get the idea. That is where the pistons are going to be going, and this is going to be our exit hole. So I guess I should just get to work and do some of the redstone stuff, and then I'll catch you guys in a little bit. I have hit a small little dilemma here. Okay, so as you can see, the ribbon really is a very fancy thing. If you haven't seen Slipgator's base before, then you are in for a treat, because this thing is absolutely amazing. I still consider him to be the new guy on the server, but he seems to have the most incredible, amazing base out of all the hermits on here. But anyway, there is a slight problem with this. Originally, on the first design that I did in my redstone testing world, I had the redstone going across the front, and that made perfect sense in my redstone testing world. But obviously in this one, I can't really do it on a slant. It won't work like that. It's not going to work, essentially. So, what I'm going to have to do is I'm actually going to have to redirect a little bit of the redstone. We're going to have to set it back a little bit. And I hope this doesn't mess with any of Slipgator's plans, because I know he wants to decorate this place. As you can see, I mean, he's pretty good at the whole decorating thing. So I think I'm going to leave him to his own devices there. But what we're going to have to do is we're sort of going to have to drag this redstone out across the back instead of it being along the front, which actually does make quite a lot of sense. It looks pretty good like this anyway. But that is all of the redstone done. I don't actually have a lever on me, but I suppose I could use a button just to test it out. So let's see if this will all work. If we place our button down here, will these doors close? Yes. And do they open? Yes, they do. So that is a functioning piston door. Awesome. So the door is now all complete. If we take a look at this here, you will see that it opens up. And one thing that I will say about this is definitely the hardest working environment I have ever had to be in. This is such a deadly base. I mean, it looks awesome, as I've said. I really do like what Slipper's done with the place. But when you were trying to place redstone down there, oh my, you are just looking over the edge thinking, if I fall off, you know, I'm going to lose my 24 levels, all my stuff will probably despawn, my armor isn't doing too well as it is. But anyway, this is the door. You can see that it does take a little bit of time to open up, and that is just because of the torch tower that I've had to use to get the redstone up to the top. But I have tried to keep the redstone underneath nice and minimal. Originally, I did do this with a T flip-flop, but yeah, it was quite big, and I didn't want to have that underneath. But then again, if Slipgator does want a T flip-flop in his design, then of course, just let me know, and I will get to work on it. But anyway, there is Slip's door. He will be paying me at some point, I'm sure. I think we agreed on 3 diamonds, which I am absolutely fine with. So anyway, back over to the base. So the first project that we have got to work on over at the base is to do with the industrial tree farm. This old little fella, I know I have been doing quite a lot of work on this one over the past few episodes, but anyway, the thing that we have got to do is we've got to do a collection area, because obviously we have that little minecart dotting about underneath all of this grass, but that's not going to really do anything if we can't pick up the drop. So I'm going to set up a little hopper system. It should only take about 5 minutes, but first off, for everyone that is wondering, why do you have a tree farm here and a tree farm here? It is because that tree farm only works with oak wood, whereas this one works with any tree that you want to plant, making it a lot more versatile. So there we go. So there it is, that is done. That was the easiest little project ever. The minecart just goes over a hopper and it will drop all of its items off into the chest. There's not a large number of items that are going to be dropped off, because there's never really going to be more than, say, 20 saplings in the minecart chest. It's not like it's constantly overloading with items like our mob spawner. And speaking of the mob spawner, number 1, we've got a creeper on my mustache. That is the mustache mob spawner. But also we need to hook up a hopper line going through the Mumbo Jumbo statue and down into the sorting system, because otherwise that's not going to work. But speaking of sorting systems, we've got to do a little bit of maintenance here. We are going to have to do a different item elevator design, because if you look in all of these droppers, it is just clogged up. It is mayhem. And it's just clearly not working. So I'm going to have to come up with something slightly different for this one. Don't really know what I'm going to do yet, but I'm going to have to play about with some redstone. Ugh. I am just buying some hardened ice from Slipgator in the new Hermiton. It costs 1 diamond for 3 stacks, which is actually a really good price. I was expecting it to be a lot more than that. So there we go, we have got 3 stacks of hardened ice, and we are going to plonk down 1 diamond in the chest. So thank you to Slipgator for building this. I have done a bunch of work on our little sorting system, so let's head over there and take a look at what I've been up to. This is what I've got so far, and I do apologise that it looks like a bit of a mess at the minute, but this little thing here, this is our rapid fire item dispenser. So if we were to chuck, say, I don't know, 11 spruce wood planks, you will see that they get dropped out by the dropper, which is really helpful because that is then going to spit out into our water stream, and we are going to need some packed ice here. This place is such a mess. We've still got the water from the cow farm down underneath that we don't actually have anymore. So these are half slabs. It's like I've just placed the stone bricks on top of the old cow farm without having to worry. But yeah, so what will happen is the items will go out from here, they will hit this wall and go along the side, and then they are going to go into that test 1279 35, I can't really remember the numbers that come after his name, elevator, and then they will go upwards into a set of hoppers, and they will be transported along into our sorting system. At least that is the plan. That was the plan with the original one, but it didn't go too well. So we'll see how this one does. Alright, so, by the look of things, it looks to me like everything is working. You may have noticed in that little time lapse that I suddenly decided to do that, yeah, the actual thing isn't particularly pretty. I haven't used the best materials in the world, but most of this you are never going to see. The reason that I used glass is because everyone who builds these seems to use glass. I guess it's something to do with transparent blocks. But anyway, if we pop up to the top, this is where most of the magic happens. So yeah, our items come up here, and then they go along this water stream, and they end up in this hopper, and then it will end up in the sorting system. At least that is the plan. By the look of things, I've been observing it for a little while now, it looks like it's all working. But then again, the original one that I built looked like it was all working. So I've just got my fingers crossed that I have done everything correctly here. Like I say, from what I can see, the items are making it to the top and they are flowing around. And I am yet to see any spillages apart from perhaps a little bit of cobblestone went off over there. So maybe I need to add some more supportive blocks around the edges, a bit like this. I don't really know. I don't really know how I could prevent any blocks from just flying off elsewhere. But there we go. That is the item elevator and everything done. Hopefully that makes my sorting system just a little bit more reliable. We are now up on top of the Mumbo Jumbo statue, and I just want to show you guys the view from up here. It really does look pretty incredible, doesn't it? Especially seeing the ring like that. That is very nice. And also we can see our railroad that headed off into the distance. Man, that thing took so long to place down all of those fence posts, especially to craft them together. I remember that being such a lengthy project. But the fishing town is something that I'm going to be working on at some point in the near future. I'm pretty excited to do it as well. Got a bunch of cool plans for that place. But anyway, what we are doing now is another one of those little maintenance tasks. I apologise that this one has been a little bit of fixing things up around the base. But what we have to do is connect up our mob spawner to the sorting system that is down in our base. Now, that means that Mumbo Jumbo, this little fella here, is going to have to get a fairly lethal haircut because we're going to have to start placing down some hoppers up top. And one thing that I will say is that it is incredibly difficult to see what you are doing when his whole head is made of black wool, that's for sure. Now, the reason that I'm placing so many hoppers here is because this dropper just has a tendency to spit the items out everywhere. Usually it's not that bad, but I just want to make sure that all the items do end up in the correct place. And then what we're going to do is run the hoppers down through the statue and then probably out the back of his leg, and they will go into the sorting system directly. So I am going to get to work on this one, and then I will catch you guys in a little bit. That is all nice and complete. It really was as simple as it gets, to be honest with you. All I had to do was just run the hoppers down through the body and then out through the back leg. The only thing is here is, number one, actually I should really clear this place up. And in fact, I think I'm going to start clearing it up right now by taking out all of these jungle half slabs. I don't really need them anymore. I don't really think they do much for the look of the thing. And you know what? Because we don't actually use any of these hoppers, I think I'm going to cover them up. In fact, what am I doing having all these hoppers here? I can just clear these up now and use them for later on. Because although we do have pretty much infinite iron, it is always good to save on a few resources. I just have to work out where this hopper string is going. Oh god, I've dropped down and oh no. Okay, whatever. while I am just on my way to turning on the mob spawner, because I believe it has been off for a while, so we're going to be using the wireless redstone mechanism that we have up at the top here. Dispenses an item down, and that item falls down into a hopper, in which it will turn on the whole system. At least, I hope that's what's going to happen, because otherwise that is broken. But what we are going to be doing now is something a little bit peculiar. I want to create myself an Obsidian Generator, and that might sound really cheaty, but it actually uses resources. Every time you want to make obsidian, you have to place either redstone or string, and I don't have a lot of either of those, but I thought, why not make one of them, because I've got a few projects that may need quite a bit of obsidian in the future. But the first thing I have to wonder is, where on earth am I going to put this thing? I don't know if I'm going to do it underground or not. Ooh, I could do it in all of these chests here. In fact, yeah, that might be a good place to put it, in this sort of space. I believe also I might have broken the sugarcane farm a little bit, because all of these pistons are extended and they definitely shouldn't be. So that might be a task for a future episode. It's all about the maintenance these days, isn't it? Welcome back to the Redstone Testing world. This is the second time that we have been here in today's episode, and generally speaking, that means that it's been a good episode. So, what we are going to do here is we have got ourselves an Obsidian Generator, and the way that we use it is we place down redstone dust on top of all these blocks, and then when we hit this button, you will see lava is dispensed, and then bam! We get ourselves some obsidian. How easy is that? How good is that? That is pretty awesome, isn't it? So, all we have to do is place down the old redstone, and then hit the button, and we get ourselves obsidian. And you may be thinking, it's a little bit silly because you're trading redstone out for obsidian, and you still have to mine it with a pickaxe. But the thing is that there's only so many lava lakes, and most of them are absolutely miles away. So it's a nice and easy way to get tons and tons of obsidian inside your own base, at the small cost of a little bit of redstone. Now, one thing that I do just want to quickly test while we are on camera here is I want to test if string still works, because there was a time in which string would work, and that means that it is just very easy to get, because obviously I get that from my mob farm. But no, it doesn't look like it's done it at all. Okay, well, it's a good thing that we tried that out now. Dispensers and everything are now in place, and I gotta say, guys, I really like the way that this thing looks. It really does fit in with the rest of the room, don't you think? It's just like it was made to be here. But what we have down here is a bunch of hoppers, and that is because we are going to be standing back here, and it's going to be quite hard to pick up the obsidian once it falls down, because it would be falling on those blocks. So I thought, why not just chuck some hoppers in? You know, I had tons of them in my inventory. So yeah, they all run into this chest over here. So this is where all of our obsidian is going to end up. Now, I shouldn't worry about filling this up, because to me, I can't imagine getting more than a couple stacks of obsidian at once, just because it's going to be so boring to mine. But like I say, I do have some projects in the future that might require a little bit of obsidian, so it should be easy enough to gather it out from this one. But anyway, what I have to do now is a little bit of the redstone, just a tiny circuit, it's nothing too complicated, and then it will be ready to rock and roll. I am in the final stages now. All of the redstone is in place. If you listen to the clicks, we get one, and then a second one there. I believe that was a second one. I don't know, it sounded a little bit weird. But anyway, we are going to chuck all of the lava buckets into our dispensers here. Hopefully I have enough. If not, I have miscounted and should probably drop A-level maths or something. But there we go, we have got all of them. And now all we have to do is place down our redstone dust on top of all of these hoppers and hit this button, and fingers crossed this works. Nice, and then the retraction of it works as well. So all we have to do now is mine all of the obsidian. It will get sucked into our hopper and brought out into this chest. Would you look at that? We have got ourselves a working obsidian generator in the Mumbo Jumbo base. That really is just another step towards full automation, because that is the main goal of the base that I am building here. I want to have pretty much every farm available to Minecrafters. bar some of them, because some of them are just ridiculous. But anyway, that is all I've got time for today, folks. I hope that you enjoyed this one. I apologise that I had the slight error with Corrales' episode, or with the episode that I recorded for Corrales of me building that statue. It really is a shame, but there's not a whole lot I can do about it, so unfortunately you won't be getting a Hermitcraft episode on Thursday, which has actually already happened, so I'm sure you've got over it. But anyway, if you did enjoy this episode, please be sure to hit that like button, and if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later.